right here at the Daytona Beach News Journal Center.
As soon as that big rig pulled in, the process of unloading the precious cargo began. Now, it took crews 10 hours to unload, uncrate, place, and perfect Dr. Bethune's stunning likeness. At one point, even repositioning it based on feedback from master sculptor Nilda Comas. And then the moment 3.5 years in the making, the unveiling of Mother Mary. Now, for 2 months, Dr. Bethune's tribute stood right here in Daytona Beach for the public to marvel at.
And thousands did, making the trip from across Florida and some across the country to bask in history. Michelle Imparato found out what the experience meant to them.
I just got emotional, especially looking in her eyes, and I could see her strength and her kindness.
I can't even put it into words. It's more of a feeling.
My first thought was I was blown away.
Only something truly special, someone truly special, can elicit such emotion. And she was a trailblazer, civil rights pioneer, a champion for education for all Black people. Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune was so much to so many.
She's like my legacy. My entire family went to Bethune-Cookman University.
I'm living proof of what she's speaking, of what she taught. So I'm just excited to be here.
Oh my God, I mean, she's peering into your soul, and you're standing there saying, I feel as though we've done well. We should take a picture. Admirers from near and far came to the Daytona Beach News Journal Center to see up close the marble statue in Dr. Bethune's likeness, made to stand tall and represent Florida in Statuary Hall in Washington, D.C.
It's big, and it's someone who looks like me as a Black woman.
The significance of this moment in time, of a Black woman, the first to be chosen to represent a state, isn't lost on those who took in the exhibit. A powerful statement that Dr. Bethune's tireless work made a lasting impact, and that her legacy lives on.
It's not only for Black people, but for white people to understand the struggle. And I think part of the problems that we have today is because of the lack of knowledge and also the lack of empathy for what people have gone through.
It keeps it alive. It keeps it alive. Even the work that she did back then, and the fact that it's still so relevant today. And that's right. It's a negative and a positive, because you would think we would be so much further along today, so many years later. But the positive of it is that it makes us remember that the journey continues. The message continues. There's still a lot of work to be done.
And because the fight against racial injustice does continue today,
I put that she was the first African American woman to represent the state.
A new generation in Volusia County is now learning about Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune more than ever before.
I think it's really an honor to be able to see this before it goes up to DC.
Students throughout the district took part in interactive field trips to Dr. Bethune's exhibit.
They were educating Black children in South Carolina and Georgia before moving to Florida.
Most of them initially only knew of her name, but after reading the literature, hearing the story of her life, and seeing her towering statue, they walked away with a better understanding of Dr. Bethune's influence.
I definitely feel like very inspired. It just shows like anybody can do something. When she was super little, she was inspired to be educated, and now she helped educate many different people.
Very, very cool. Very interesting just to see everything, especially the heart and her neck.
The marble statue was only in Daytona Beach for a few months, but it sparked meaningful conversations about equality and representation.
She's the first African American woman to go there, and it made me really happy, because the more representation that we get, the more we can get in life without being discriminated against.
What the students learned here will last. Volusia County is working with the state of Florida to create a new curriculum about Dr. Bethune for all Florida students.
we have plans to develop an elementary, middle, and high school curriculum based around Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune and the statue project. And that way, it'll be available to our students at all 3 grade levels so that they really do have a greater understanding of the impact that she had.
Overdue tribute to a woman who started her lifetime of work through education. It's been said Dr. Bethune hasn't been given her proper place in history. Now, nearly 70 years after her death, her statue is seen as unifying and historic, a tribute to begin to finally give her the recognition she deserves.
I just think it will inspire all young girls, everyone who sees it. I'm just so proud, so happy.
She's amazing. She's amazing, still affecting people to this day.
I stood under the statue and I looked in her eyes and she was looking directly at me. And I was hoping that she was saying, well done. Because you want her to be proud of us.
May I thank you, my friends. This is a very moving moment for me.
Next, a moment years, but truly decades in the making. Come along on a final leg of this incredible journey as Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune ascends to her place of honor in the U.S. Capitol. When Chronicle continues.
More than 15,000 people visited the Dr. Bethune statue while it was on display in Daytona Beach. After its residency at the News Journal Center, the marble masterpiece was meticulously recreated and prepared for the journey to its permanent home, Statuary Hall at the U.S. Capitol. And Stewart has made his way there as well. He joins us now from Washington, D.C. Hey, Stu.
Summer, I am just outside the U.S. Capitol where Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune's gorgeous marble replica now resides. It's been more than 6 months since Dr. Bethune's statue was on display in Daytona Beach. We just saw how the statue was carefully packed up from that exhibit to be moved here to D.C. But on the way here to the nation's capital, Dr. Bethune took a small detour. The semi-truck carrying Dr. Bethune's statue from Daytona Beach to Washington, D.C. made a special stop along the way, Maysville, South Carolina, Dr. Bethune's birthplace. Crowds there were able to catch a quick glimpse of her marble likeness before getting back on the road to Washington. And now, here we are, the culmination of so many years of perseverance, made possible through the sheer determination of so many people determined to see Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune take her rightful place in American history.
Today is the beginning of the celebration. Is there some fun to celebrate?
It's the weekend before Dr. Bethune's statue installation in Washington, D.C., and a good crowd is gathered at Lincoln Park. It's where Mother Mary's first national tribute stands. Everyone is in a celebratory mood. The Statuary Hall installation is just 3 days away. But
Happy birthday to you.
it's also Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune's 147th birthday. Each year, there's a celebration of her birthday here, but this year, no one can deny it's especially sweet.
My heart is just filled with pride right now.
Crystal Leidy is a Daytona native and BCU grad who now lives in Maryland. She's part of the alumni group that puts on the annual gathering. She came home to Daytona Beach last fall to see the statue.
I am just proud to be a part of that legacy. Hoping that this helps to continue her acknowledgement on a national level.
We're so glad that you're able to be with us today. We're going to board the buses.
The next day, the celebration of Dr. Bethune continued with a very special trip around the nation's capital.
I never had a chance to really experience Dr. Bethune's life in Washington, D.C. And so when I heard that they were going to do a bus tour, I had to get on it. And I wanted to make sure we had a full scope scope of who she was, not just in Daytona Beach, Florida, but also in our nation's capital.
Led by the National Park Service, alum and admirers of Dr. Bethune boarded buses to see spots connected to and by Bethune.
Our first stop will be Asbury United Methodist Church.
Each location provided more insight into this groundbreaking and forward-thinking leader's life.
Now, she comes to Washington, D.C. in 1935, which is actually the same year she starts the National Council of Negro Women.
The Park Service maintains the Mary McLeod Bethune Council House. It's where Dr. Bethune lived during her time in the nation's capital and is now a National Historic Site. Every location had meaning to the work Dr. Bethune undertook.
Director of the Division of Negro Affairs of the National Youth Administration, the first black woman to head a federal agency.
That's awesome.
As inspiring as this tour is, the purpose of the pilgrimage is almost at hand. At the nation's capital, work is underway to give Mary McLeod Bethune a new home in D.C. First crews with cranes, then dollies through doorways. The unassuming wooden crate rolled through the rotunda would take more than 10 hours to unload. Precious cargo, priceless art, purpose beyond measure. The meticulous process leading up to the moment Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune and the state of Florida make history.
It is my privilege to welcome you to Statuary Hall as we celebrate a pioneering and patriotic American, the pride of Florida and America, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune.
Well, I am proud to be a Floridian this morning because the people of the state of Florida have sent the great educator and civil rights leader Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune to represent our dynamic and diverse state.
During a 1948 event with the National Council of Negro Women, Dr. Bethune said, "In my final years of my life, I dare to work for the dream of a memorial for all women because the time has come for it and it is worth a cause worth sacrificing for." Well, that time has come. That time is now. That day is today.
The KKK, after the school was up and running, came marching on the small girls' school with torches, with robes, on horseback, and she stood alone at the gate and stared them down and stood them down. Madam Speaker, in my military career, I've seen some tough cookies, some tough women. I guarantee you this is the toughest one in the hall today.
And I remember as a little girl listening to my mother and my father talk about a black woman. A woman who looked like us, who started a college. As I listened to my parents tell the story, it seemed impossible. But Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune made what seemed impossible possible.
Dr. Bethune takes her rightful place here as we honor a legendary American. In doing so, we ensure that young people, all young people, but especially young black women and girls, come to this capital and they see a reflection of our nation's beautiful diversity, beautiful success, and greater possibilities for them in their future. It is a glorious day in the capital of the United States. Thank you all for making it so. Thank you.
Seeing Dr. Bethune's statue here in its permanent home is truly a sight to behold. This honor now elevates her place in history, with Dr. Bethune's story hopefully inspiring new generations in her likeness. It has been our great privilege to document Dr. Bethune's life and the work of so many people to honor Dr. Bethune in such a significant way. For Selma and the entire Chronicle team, thank you for watching.